Khan. How many of you have watched one of his videos online, yeah? This is Bill Gates' favorite educator. And he's going to talk about where he's come from, where he's going, and how he's using data to get there. So please join me in welcoming Sal Khan.
So as many of y'all probably know, Khan Academy is most known for this collection of videos, 2,800 videos on everything from basic arithmetic all the way to biology and vector calculus that so far have been produced by me, and as I'll announce during this presentation, soon to be by other people. But so that we're all on the same page, let me show you a little montage of what at least the video content looks like, and then we'll talk about what else we're up to. We could integrate over the surface, and the notation usually is a capital sigma. All of these interactions are just due to the gravity over interstellar, or almost you could call it intergalactic. So the right slot is I plus 1. This animal's fossils are only found in this area of South America, a nice clean band here. They create the Committee of Public Safety, which sounds like a very nice committee. Notice this is an aldehyde, and it's an alcohol. It's some type of an infectious disease.
Exactly. So the key is when you start to look at data, you have to look at all aspects of it.
Is their $30 million plus the $20 million from the American manufacturer. If this does not blow your mind, then you have no emotion. So what I really want to emphasize over the course of the day, I still make videos. I did a couple of geometry videos this morning. But that we're much more than just these videos. We think it's an important part, but not the full part of what the Khan Academy is. And last summer I was literally a guy, working out of a closet, and now we're 18 people, most of them software engineers working on our exercise platform with all the analytics and all the data. And we also have a team that's really trying to figure out how this can be used in the classroom, and not just the videos, but also the data, the analytics, the exercises, and all the rest. And we'll talk about all of that in a few seconds. But one of the things that I kind of wanted to announce today, because we always had this open question. Okay, you have the videos, Sal's doing them. We have been translating them into 10 languages. Thanks, Google funded that last year, and we've Portuguese, Spanish, and Bengali are already almost done, and we have another 7 languages, the major languages of the world, and on top of that, I think we're doing Indonesian and Farsi. But there's an open question, and we have the exercises. But the open question was, will Sal be the only faculty member? Or, there must be things that Sal can't teach. We were looking around for where do we expand, and we found some people. And what I want to show you now is the new domain or another domain that Khan Academy is going into. I'm not making the videos. We have the videos now. We're going to have other things that start to make it even a richer experience, a full education experience. And we think not only it'll push the boundaries of what people think Khan Academy is about. It's not just about math, science, and engineering. It can be about the humanities. So it'll inform that. And we also think it'll also maybe help people start to rethink not just what a humanities education could be, but even what a museum experience could look like. So this is Doctors Beth Harris and Steven Zucker, who we've recently brought on to join the faculty of the Khan Academy.
And also the tilt of her head, as you mentioned.
Yeah, there's curving forms in that shawl, that reds and purples and oranges.
That's perfect, because the next year, Matisse, with a number of other painters, will become known as La Fauve.
The wild beast.
That's right, using color in such radical and aggressive ways that they're accused of being madmen.
And you can definitely see that beginning to happen here.
So yes, we now not only think we're the best way to support the math and sciences, but now also the arts. But as I mentioned, we aren't just about videos. We're about, most of our team is building these exercises and all the rest. And this is an example of what one of these Khan Academy exercises look like. And there's now on the order of 200. And I want to make it clear, this isn't just one exercise. When we talk about an exercise, these are exercise generators that can generate an infinite number of questions. The students can interact with them, frankly, in ways that they couldn't interact with a traditional textbook. This is for a student to get the intuition of what a derivative is, so they can find the slope of the tangent line at each of those points. If they have no idea of what this concept even means, they can watch the complementary Khan Academy video, which could be about that, and eventually it could be art history or whatever else. And every time they interact with the system, it's not just practice. We're capturing all of the data, how long it's taking them, what happens when they go further out. We're starting to measure proficiency not just as what percentage did you get of the last 10 right, or did you get, how long is your streak. We are measuring those things, and there is this kind of video gamey aspect to it. But we're now able to start doing analytics on defining proficiencies. What is the percent chance that this person is going to be able to do this type of problem 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 9 months from now, especially if it's in a mixed context environment. We can start to do analytics. What happens when someone watches this video or that video? I mean, A/B testing, everyone does that in the web world, but what happens when you start to apply that to education? What happens when you tweak things? Can you make the content a little bit more engaging and actually affect people's learning? And it's a very subtle idea that we're doing here, this idea that you get as many problems as you need to master a concept. It is how you would learn to ride a bicycle. You'd ride that bicycle long enough until you really master it. But it's completely different than the education systems that we've all been indoctrinated in. In the traditional education system, what is fixed is how long you have to learn something. And then what is variable is how well you've learned it. You've got a A, a B, a C. And then despite the fact that you have that 10%, 20%, 30% gap, you then build on that foundation. And that, it sounds crazy, but it's analogous to you built a foundation and an inspector comes and tells you that that is an 80% sound foundation. And despite that, you will then build the first floor. And that's what's happening in math and science and, frankly, all education right now. And what we're saying is, no, don't rush the foundation. Spend as much time as you can on that foundation until it's 100% sound, and then build the first floor. And then when that's 100% sound, then build the second floor. So what we're saying is, what we hold fixed now isn't the amount of time to learn the subject. It's the expectation of mastery. That's what's fixed. And the variable here is now how well you actually, is actually how long you have to spend on that topic. Now, one of the things that's happened, most of our users are, and this is how all of those exercises fit together. That top node is literally basic addition. Once you master that, it keeps bringing you down that. Right now, we have about 200 of these modules that can each generate an infinite number of questions. And by the end of December, and it's already being piloted in a bunch of schools, and I'll talk about it later, several million kids using it on a regular basis. But our goal is to have K through calculus, mathematics done by December. And after that, physics and chemistry and biology and all the rest. And the videos already go well beyond that, and maybe grammar and logic and computer science. And so you can really start to imagine where this could go. Now, I mentioned we're there for the self-learner, the homeschooler, but we also want to start experimenting with what actually happens in a classroom. And so this is a dashboard for a teacher in Los Altos that's been piloting it. They're now district-wide, 42 classrooms, 5th and 6th graders. And the model is, let's let every student work at their own pace. Let's let students master concepts before they go to new concepts. And on this dashboard, a teacher sees literally in real time, each row is a student in his or her class. Each column is one of those nodes that you just saw. Red means that the student is stuck. Blue means that they're working on it. Green means that they've already mastered it. And so the model is that the teacher, instead of giving a one-size-fits-all lecture, instead of grading homework, the teacher walks around, okay, there's red there. I can do a one-on-one intervention with that student, or I can get one of the other students to actually tutor their peers. And so what we think happens is, people talk about student-to-teacher ratio, but the really important metric is student to valuable interactive time with the teacher and his or her peers ratio. And that ratio, based on what we've seen in Los Altos so far, has frankly just gone through the roof. And it's also freed up all this time to do all of this other interactive project-based learning and all the rest. And we're trying to arm the teachers with as much data as possible. So this is just one view of what the students have been worked on, and they can drill down as much as they want. The next one tells what the students have been working on. This one right over here, the focus on the videos and the exercise. It can even tell the teachers when they paused videos. I mean, one of the most interesting pieces of data wasn't kind of what you would expect. One teacher told us, I found out that one of my students was doing practice problems at 2 in the morning, and this is a 5th grader, which is an issue. And so this is, once again, another report that teachers get to kind of show the whole class progress. Each line there is a student. The horizontal column is how long they've been working on the site. Vertical column is how many modules they completed. So each line is kind of a narrative for a student. And this is a neat kind of report for a teacher in and of itself, but it describes a powerful narrative that we've started to see once you allow every student to work at their own pace. Whenever we start these pilots, some of the students race ahead. Those, traditional model, those are the advanced students. Some of them fall a little bit behind. Traditional model, you might track them into a slower class. Say these are remedial students. They're not meant to become scientists and engineers and all the rest. But what we're seeing over and over again is if you let them all work at their own pace, build that foundation, remediate, really work on one topic that they might be stuck on, those students that 2 months ago that you thought were remedial students, every now and then one of them races forward and a month or two later is the best or the second best student in the class. And we're seeing this over and over and over again, which really makes you question this whole model of snapshot assessments and even tracking students. And so, Los Altos, they did a pilot with 4 classrooms last year, 2 fifth grade classrooms, normal fifth grade classrooms, 2 seventh grade classrooms. The 2 fifth grade classrooms they did awesome when they took the CST. They got 96% at grade level or above. But Los Altos was already a high-performing school district, so it wasn't that dramatic of a difference relative to where their other fifth graders were. But it frankly didn't capture a lot of the algebra and geometry and other things that some of those fifth graders were working on. These are the results from the 7th grade. And these were, even though Los Altos is high-performing, these 7th grade classes were, they called it algebra readiness, which is really a euphemism for remedial math class. And these students are not affluent. Some of them come from families that don't speak English. Some of them had learning disabilities. And what kind of blew all of our minds, and they had an amazing teacher, so we have to really figure out how much was teacher, how much was kind of the system. But going into the year, 23% were at grade level. That's that top bar there. And 6% were very below basic, just about as bad as you could do on one of these exams. And then after 6 months, literally, we started mid-year, like November of last year, and this is their results in 2011. We essentially doubled the number that were at grade level, so from 23% to 35 plus 6 to 41%. But the really powerful narrative here is, one, no longer were any students very below basic. So even the weakest students in that class were able to move up a notch. But just going back to that last slide, the really powerful narrative is that 6% of these students who were in a remedial math class were now advanced. So you have 6% of students who were tracked into a slower math class, and which is normally like the graveyard of your mathematical education. And these students had now leapfrogged ahead of kids who were not placed in remedial math class. And so that's something that none of us had ever seen before, and this was one of the main reasons why Los Altos decided to go district-wide. And so just to give a sense of what we're up to and what we think our vision here is, I like to say, every inflection point in history, not only does it need new business models, it needs new institutions. You have, the discovery of America, you have your Harvards and your Yales come into existence. You have the Industrial Revolution, you have the MITs, the Stanfords, the state universities come into existence. And right now we are at least as large of an inflection in history as at any point in history, and we think that there's room for us as a not-for-profit to maybe be one of those institutions. And just to show kind of the scale at which some of these things can happen, we've already delivered over 86 million lessons, 100 million exercises done, and just in this past month, we've had 3.5 million users. And we're so used to in the web world talking million here, million there, you kind of lose scope of how much scale that is. And we're growing threefold a year, so who knows what that might be next year. But that is 6 times as many students as Harvard has graduated since 1636 in the past month. And the total amount of money we've spent to get to that point has been a little over $1 million. And our... Thank you. And I suspect our forward runner, because we have been growing, we're now 18 people, but I suspect that we are still a fraction of Harvard's landscaping budget. So with that said, I'd just like all of us to imagine what we could do with a fraction of their endowment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really inspiring. Thank you.